The massive holographic chamber of the Galactic Concordance Council stretched before Jessica Williams like an amphitheater of alien judgment. Crystal spires arched overhead, each representing a different member civilization that had dominated galactic politics for millennia. Jessica's breath caught for just a moment, a fleeting display of nerves quickly masked by the steely determination that had brought her to this moment. Her presentation began with Earth's journey. Not a sanitized diplomatic overview, but a raw, honest narrative of human survival and progress. The holographic display behind her flickered to life, showing the tumultuous history of a species that had nearly destroyed itself multiple times, only to rise again with unprecedented resilience. Images of climate catastrophes scrolled past, massive seawalls protecting coastal megacities, vertical farms climbing impossibly high, entire ecosystems reconstructed through genetic engineering and ecological restoration. The aliens watched, their multifaceted eyes reflecting a mixture of curiosity and mild contempt. "We are not asking for charity," Jessica said, her voice cutting through the chamber's ambient translation field. "We are offering a partnership that will fundamentally reshape galactic potential." The first section of her presentation focused on human adaptability. Where other civilizations had become rigid and stratified, humanity had demonstrated an almost chaotic ability to reinvent itself. Economic systems, technological approaches, social structures, nothing was sacred, everything was malleable. A series of holographic windows displayed humanity's most recent achievements, the permanent lunar colonies that had become fully self-sufficient ecosystems, the first successful deep space mining operations that had transformed asteroid belts into resource networks, breakthrough medical technologies that had effectively eliminated most genetic diseases and dramatically extended human lifespan. The Concordance representatives shifted uncomfortably. Each delegation represented species that had reached technological plateaus centuries or even millennia ago. Their civilizations were monuments to stability, to carefully managed progress. Humanity represented something entirely different, a civilization that treated progress like a living, breathing organism. Jessica's next segment focused on technological innovation. She didn't just show humanity's current capabilities, but the exponential potential of human creativity. A simulation demonstrated how human problem-solving approached challenges, not through linear, predictable methods, but through wild, interconnected thinking that seemed almost organic in its approach. The Zarkol representative, a crystalline being that communicated through complex light patterns, began to pulse with what could only be interpreted as agitation. Its translator rendered its communication as a series of precise, clipped statements. "Your civilization demonstrates significant unpredictability." "Precisely," Jessica responded, her smile sharp enough to cut diamond. "Unpredictability is our greatest strength." She highlighted humanity's unique approach to artificial intelligence, not as a tool to be controlled, but as a collaborative partner. Unlike other galactic civilizations that viewed AI as a potential threat, humans had developed symbiotic relationships with their technological creations. Machine learning systems worked alongside human researchers, each complementing the other's capabilities. The presentation moved to cultural achievements, music that had been broadcast across multiple star systems, art that challenged fundamental perceptions of creativity, literature that explored complex philosophical concepts through narratives that defied traditional storytelling methods. Humanity wasn't just a technological civilization, it was a creative powerhouse that approached existence as an ongoing experiment. Environmental restoration became another key point. While many advanced civilizations had long ago abandoned attempts to repair ecological damage, humans had developed technologies that could resurrect entire ecosystems. Dead planets were being terraformed. Extinct species were being genetically reconstructed. The very concept of environmental management had been reimagined. As the presentation reached its conclusion, Jessica could see the subtle shifts in the alien delegates. Confusion, concern, a dawning realization that this young civilization was something entirely unprecedented. The lead counselor, a being composed of what appeared to be living metallic threads, spoke with a voice that seemed to vibrate through the entire chamber. "Your proposal is noted, Ambassador Williams. The Galactic Concordance will review your recommendations." It was a dismissal. Polite, condescending, final. Jessica knew exactly what it meant. The aliens saw humanity as a promising but ultimately unruly child. Interesting, but not yet worthy of a seat at the adult table. What the Concordance didn't understand was that this rejection was not an endpoint. It was a beginning. As she stepped down from the presentation platform, a subtle smile played across her lips. The real conversation was just about to start. The United Earth Research Command Center hummed with an energy that bordered on controlled chaos. Jake Rodriguez stood at the center of a massive circular room, holographic displays swirling around him like digital tornadoes of information. The rejection from the Galactic Concordance had transformed from a moment of diplomatic failure into humanity's most powerful motivational fuel. Dr. Michael Thompson approached, his tablet displaying a cascade of quantum computation models that seemed to dance with impossible complexity. "We've identified a breakthrough," he said, his voice carrying a mix of scientific excitement and barely contained triumph. The breakthrough was more than just another technological advancement. It was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligence could interact with complex systems. Thompson's team had developed a neural network that could not just learn, but actively predict and adapt to technological challenges faster than any known system in the galaxy. Screens around the room began to populate with simulations, where traditional machine learning systems required extensive training and showed linear progression. This new system demonstrated something closer to intuitive leaping. It could take fragmented pieces of technological concepts from different fields, quantum physics, biological engineering, computational theory, and synthesize them in ways that defied conventional scientific understanding. Jake watched as a simulation showed the system solving a complex molecular engineering problem in minutes, a challenge that would have taken traditional supercomputers decades. "It's not just about speed," Thompson explained. "It's about conceptual breakthrough. We're not just calculating. We're creating." The implications were staggering. Military strategists huddled in one corner of the command center, discussing how this technology could revolutionize strategic planning. Economic advisors mapped out potential global industrial transformations. Medical researchers began exploring how such adaptive intelligence could accelerate drug discovery and personalized treatment protocols. Across the globe, research facilities entered a state of unprecedented collaboration. The old boundaries between disciplines, physics, biology, computer science, engineering, began to dissolve. Researchers who had previously worked in isolated specialties now found themselves part of interconnected teams that approached problem-solving like a living, breathing organism. A breakthrough in quantum communication caught Jake's attention. A team led by Dr. Elena Rodriguez had developed a communication protocol that could potentially overcome the massive time delays inherent in interstellar communication. Traditional faster-than-light communication relied on fixed quantum entanglement networks. This new system could dynamically create and maintain quantum communication channels that adapted in real time. "We're not just improving existing technologies," Elena explained during a briefing, her holographic presentation showing how the new communication system could potentially create instantaneous information networks across vast stellar distances. "We're fundamentally reimagining what's possible." The medical wing of the research center revealed perhaps the most startling developments. Genetic engineering had moved beyond simple disease prevention. Researchers were now developing adaptive human physiological modifications that could help humans survive in extreme environments. Radiation resistance, increased bone density for low-gravity environments, enhanced metabolic processes that could extract nutrition from previously unusable food sources. Jake understood that this was more than a technological arms race. This was humanity's response to being told they were not ready for galactic participation. Every breakthrough was a statement, every innovation a challenge to the established galactic order. Military technology development took on a similarly revolutionary approach. Gone were the days of fixed weapon systems and rigid combat strategies. The new military technologies were adaptive, capable of real-time modification based on environmental conditions and opponent capabilities. Prototype spacecraft in orbital construction facilities showcased modular designs that could reconfigure themselves mid-flight. Weapon systems that could analyze and counter enemy technologies almost instantaneously. Defensive capabilities that didn't just block threats, but actively learned from them. Dr. Thompson approached Jake with a final report that seemed to pulse with potential. "We're not just catching up," he said. "We're leapfrogging entire technological generations." The rest of the galaxy had no idea what was coming. As the day drew to a close, Jake Rodriguez looked out over the research center. Thousands of the brightest minds on the planet were working with a singular purpose. The Galactic Concordance had dismissed humanity. Now, humanity was preparing to make them regret that decision. The technological acceleration was not just a response. It was a revolution. Lunar Base Alpha stretched across the moon's surface like a metallic organism, its modular structures blending seamlessly with the stark lunar landscape. Commander Lisa Chen stood in the central control room, her eyes tracking the intricate dance of construction drones moving with mathematical precision across the base's exterior. The base was far more than a simple research station. It had become humanity's most closely guarded secret, a forge of technological innovation and military preparation that would reshape the balance of galactic power. Massive shipyards operated in complete silence, their advanced sound-dampening technologies ensuring that no vibration could be detected from the outside. Robotic assembly lines worked with a synchronicity that defied traditional manufacturing processes. Each component of the new human fleet was being designed with a level of adaptability that would make traditional spacecraft look like primitive relics. Lisa reviewed the latest reports from the Adaptive Materials Research Team. They had developed a new class of structural materials that could actively respond to environmental challenges. Spacecraft hulls that could redistribute energy from weapon impacts. Modular sections that could reconfigure themselves mid-flight to optimize performance or escape damage. The military strategy was not about overwhelming force, but about creating systems so adaptable that they could turn any potential conflict into an opportunity for technological demonstration. Each ship was more than a weapon. It was a living proof of human ingenuity. Deep within the base's most secure laboratories, teams of researchers worked on technologies that pushed the boundaries of known science. Quantum communication systems that could create instantaneous information networks. Adaptive camouflage technologies that could make entire fleets invisible to traditional scanning methods. A breakthrough in energy production caught Lisa's attention. The new fusion reactors developed by Dr. Robert Martinez could not only power entire fleets, but could also dynamically adjust their output based on environmental conditions. Where other civilizations saw energy production as a fixed system, humans had transformed it into a responsive, adaptive process. The psychological warfare component of their preparation was equally sophisticated. Intelligence teams had been meticulously studying the communication patterns, cultural nuances, and potential psychological weaknesses of every known species in the Galactic Concordance. The goal was not just military superiority, but a comprehensive understanding that could be leveraged in any potential conflict. Asteroid mining operations have been transformed into a critical component of the preparation. What appeared to be simple resource extraction was actually a complex network of forward operating bases. Each asteroid base could be rapidly converted into a defensive position, a research station, or a launch point for potential military operations. Lisa watched as a new class of stealth reconnaissance drones underwent final testing. These were not simple surveillance tools, but complex systems that could adapt their operational parameters in real time. They could shift between communication, observation, and potential combat roles with a fluidity that would challenge any traditional military doctrine. The genetic engineering wing of the lunar base revealed perhaps the most startling developments. Researchers were developing physiological adaptations that could help humans survive in extreme environments. Radiation resistance, enhanced metabolic processes, neural interfaces that could allow direct mental control of complex technological systems. Communication between lunar bases and Earth was encrypted through a series of quantum communication protocols that made traditional interception methods obsolete. Each transmission was a complex puzzle that could only be solved by the intended recipient. As the day progressed, Lisa reflected on the massive undertaking. This was more than military preparation. This was a comprehensive reimagining of human potential. The Galactic Concordance had dismissed humanity as a young, inexperienced civilization. They were about to learn the true meaning of human determination. A message came through from the research team on Mars. Another breakthrough in adaptive materials. Another step closer to changing the galactic balance of power. The silent preparation was reaching its final stages. Soon, humanity would make its move, and the galaxy would never see it coming. Commander Lisa Chen allowed herself a small smile. The real conversation was about to begin. The U.S. Defiance drifted through the Ta-Ceti system, a sleek testament to humanity's recent technological advances. Captain Michael Roberts sat in the command chair, his fingers hovering above holographic control interfaces that seemed to breathe with potential energy. This was more than a standard exploration mission. It was a calculated demonstration of human capabilities. Ta-Ceti had been a region of interest for decades. Rich in rare mineral deposits and situated at a critical junction between several galactic trade routes, the system represented both an economic opportunity and a potential point of tension. The Concordance patrol ships had long maintained a constant presence, treating the system as their exclusive domain. The ship's advanced sensor arrays picked up the first signs of the Concordance patrol vessel before visual confirmation. Unlike previous human exploration craft, the U.S. Defiance was anything but defenseless. Its adaptive shielding and quantum-entangled sensor systems represented a quantum leap in spacecraft design. Incoming transmission. Lieutenant Sarah Chen called out from the communication station. Her voice carried a hint of anticipation. The Concordance patrol ship approached with the typical arrogance of a species that had dominated interstellar space for millennia. Its communication was direct and dismissive. Unregistered vessel, you are entering restricted space. Prepare for inspection and potential detainment. Captain Roberts allowed himself a slight smile. This was exactly the scenario they had prepared for. The first weapon discharge came without warning, a standard intimidation tactic used by Concordance patrols to force compliance. Previous human exploration vessels would have been instantly disabled. The U.S. Defiance did something entirely unexpected. The ship's adaptive shielding didn't just absorb the energy, it transformed it. Quantum resonance fields captured the weapon's energy, instantaneously analyzing its frequency and composition. In less than a millisecond, the ship's defensive systems not only neutralized the incoming attack, but began to generate a counter-frequency that could potentially disable the attacking vessel's weapon systems. Defensive protocols engaged, Lieutenant Chen reported, her fingers dancing across her console. Weapon systems are actively mapping and neutralizing threat parameters. The Concordance patrol ship fired again, this time with increased intensity. Each subsequent attack was met with an increasingly sophisticated response. The U.S. Defiance wasn't just defending, it was learning, adapting, transforming each attack into valuable tactical information. Inside the patrol ship, alien crews watched in growing confusion and mounting terror. Their weapon systems, which had been unmatched for centuries, were being systematically neutralized by a vessel that seemed to think and react like a living organism. Captain Roberts spoke clearly into the communication system. This is not an act of aggression. This is a demonstration of defensive capabilities. The actual technical marvel was happening at a level far beyond visual observation. The ship's computational systems were creating a comprehensive map of Concordance weapon technologies, analyzing potential vulnerabilities, and developing adaptive countermeasures in real time. What should have been a typical display of galactic dominance had turned into something entirely different. The Concordance patrol ship found itself completely outmaneuvered, not through superior firepower, but through an unprecedented level of technological adaptability. In less than 12 minutes, the engagement was over. The Concordance vessel remained intact, but completely disabled. Its weapon systems were offline. Its communication arrays neutralized. It was a precise demonstration of human technological superiority that left no room for traditional military posturing. "Mission complete," Captain Roberts said quietly. "Prepare full sensor and engagement logs for review." The communication logs would later show that no lives were lost. No direct damage was inflicted. It was a surgical display of technological capabilities that would send shockwaves through the Galactic Concordance. Lieutenant Chen looked up from her console, a mixture of professional calm and barely contained excitement in her eyes. "Sensor logs are recording maximum efficiency. Every aspect of the engagement has been documented." As the U.S. Defiance prepared to continue its exploration, the disabled Concordance patrol ship drifted silently. A clear message had been sent. Humanity was no longer willing to be overlooked or intimidated. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's potential went far beyond what any established civilization could comprehend. The Concordance High Council chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien languages. Translation systems struggling to capture the nuanced panic spreading through the assembled delegates. Holographic displays showed the detailed report from the Ta City incident, a technical analysis that defied everything the Council understood about emerging civilizations. High Counselor Zarx, a being composed of intricate crystalline structures that shifted with each emotional fluctuation, stood at the central platform. His form pulsed with an agitated luminescence that reflected the collective anxiety of the assembled galactic representatives. "This is unprecedented," he declared, his translation systems rendering the statement with clinical precision. "A species we categorized as developing has demonstrated technological capabilities that challenge our fundamental understanding of galactic hierarchy." Delegates from over 20 different civilizations studied the sensor logs from the U.S. Defiance. Each replay of the engagement revealed new layers of technological sophistication that seemed to defy conventional scientific understanding. The human vessel hadn't just defended itself, it had transformed the very concept of defensive technology. The Voxanar representative, a gaseous entity that communicated through complex electromagnetic pulses, projected its analysis. Their adaptive shielding demonstrates a level of quantum manipulation we have not seen in any known civilization. The computational speed suggests an approach to artificial intelligence that is fundamentally different from our existing models. Intelligence reports flooded the council chambers. Humanity's technological acceleration was no longer a theoretical concern. It was an imminent threat to the established galactic order. Research teams from various civilizations began compiling comprehensive reports, each analysis more urgent than the last. Jessica Williams' diplomatic presentation now seemed like a distant memory. What had appeared to be a simple request for recognition had transformed into something far more significant. The human civilization was not seeking acceptance. It was challenging the very foundations of galactic power structures. The economic implications were equally staggering. Trading systems that had remained stable for centuries suddenly faced potential disruption. If human technology could so easily neutralize established military technologies, what other economic and technological paradigms might they challenge? "We cannot allow this to continue," argued the Krell-Theory representative, a silicon-based life form whose communication involved intricate geometric projections. A civilization this unpredictable represents an existential threat to galactic stability. Proposals began to circulate. Some delegates advocated for immediate military intervention. Others suggested more subtle approaches: economic isolation, technological embargoes, diplomatic pressure. Each suggestion was met with complex counterarguments that revealed the deep fractures within the Concordance's decision-making processes. Intelligence reports continued to stream in. Human research facilities were advancing at an exponential rate. medical technologies that could potentially extend lifespans across different species, communication technologies that could revolutionize interstellar information exchange, adaptive engineering approaches that challenged fundamental scientific assumptions. The most terrifying aspect was not any single technological breakthrough. It was humanity's approach to innovation itself. Where other civilizations saw technology as a fixed set of tools, humans treated it like a living, breathing ecosystem of potential. High Counselor Zarek called for a focused strategy session. The traditional methods of managing emerging civilizations would not work with humanity. This was not a species that could be contained or controlled through conventional diplomatic pressure. We are facing a civilization that does not understand the concept of impossible, one analyst noted. The statement was met with a profound silence that spoke volumes about the collective anxiety spreading through the council. The diplomatic channels that had once dismissed humanity now buzzed with urgent communications. Every report, every sensor log, every piece of intercepted human communication was being analyzed with unprecedented intensity. Jessica Williams watched the chaos unfold from a secure observation room, a subtle smile playing across her lips. The rejection had been their first mistake. The attempts to contain humanity would be their second. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was leading that change, whether the concordance was ready or not. As the council deliberations continued, one thing became abundantly clear. The human civilization was no longer a footnote in galactic history. They were becoming the headline. Dr. Robert Foster's laboratory looked nothing like the sterile research facilities of other galactic civilizations. Walls covered in complex diagrams, holographic models suspended in midair, and workstations that seemed to breathe with creative energy. This was the epicenter of humanity's most revolutionary technological developments. The breakthrough in neural-linked systems represented more than just a technological advancement. It was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligence could interact with complex systems. Foster stood before a massive holographic display, watching as the latest prototype demonstrated capabilities that defied conventional scientific understanding. "It's not about creating a better tool," Foster explained to the research team gathered around him. "It's about creating a system that thinks like an ecosystem, constantly adapting, learning, transforming." The neural network they had developed could do more than process information. It could anticipate, create, and solve problems in ways that made traditional computational approaches look like primitive counting machines. Where other civilizations saw technology as a set of fixed tools, humans had transformed it into a living, breathing organism of potential. A demonstration began on the primary holographic display. The system was presented with a complex molecular engineering challenge, the kind of problem that would typically require decades of research. Within minutes, the neural network had not just solved the problem but generated multiple innovative approaches that no human researcher had previously considered. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, leading the quantum communication research team, brought another breakthrough to Foster's attention. Their latest communication protocol could create dynamic quantum entanglement networks that adapted in real time. Traditional faster-than-light communication relied on fixed quantum channels. This new system could generate and maintain communication pathways that responded to environmental conditions with unprecedented flexibility. The medical wing of the research center revealed equally startling developments. Genetic engineering had moved beyond simple disease prevention. Researchers were developing adaptive physiological modifications that could help humans survive in extreme environments. Radiation resistance, enhanced metabolic processes, neural interfaces that could allow direct mental control of complex technological systems. "We're not just improving existing technologies," Foster said, his eyes reflecting the holographic models surrounding him. "We're fundamentally reimagining what's possible." Military technology development took on a similarly revolutionary approach. The new adaptive weapon systems were nothing like traditional armaments. These were intelligent platforms that could analyze and counter enemy technologies almost instantaneously. Defensive capabilities that didn't just block threats but actively learned from them. A breakthrough in energy production caught the attention of global leadership. The new fusion reactors could not only power entire fleets, but could dynamically adjust their output based on environmental conditions. Where other civilizations saw energy production as a fixed system, humans had transformed it into a responsive, adaptive process. The psychological warfare component was equally sophisticated. Intelligence teams had been meticulously studying the communication patterns, cultural nuances, and potential psychological weaknesses of every known species in the Galactic Concordance. The goal was not just technological superiority, but a comprehensive understanding that could be leveraged in any potential conflict. Foster watched as a simulation demonstrated the neural network's latest capability. It was solving a complex interstellar navigation problem by generating solutions that combined elements from quantum physics, biological adaptation, and computational theory in ways that seemed almost organic. The real breakthrough, Foster explained to his team, is not in any single technology. It's in our approach to technological development itself. Prototype spacecraft and orbital construction facilities showcased modular designs that could reconfigure themselves mid-flight, weapon systems that could analyze and counter enemy technologies in real time, defensive capabilities that transformed each potential threat into an opportunity for learning and adaptation. As the day progressed, the research teams continued to push the boundaries of known science. Each breakthrough was not just a technological advancement but a statement, a challenge to the established galactic order that had dismissed humanity as a young, inexperienced civilization. Dr. Robert Foster allowed himself a moment of reflection. The rest of the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The technological asymmetry was complete. Humanity was no longer playing catch-up. They were rewriting the rules of technological development itself. The Epsilon Eridani system burned with the intensity of 1,000 strategic nightmares. Concordance Fleet Admiral Zornak watched in mounting horror as the human fleet defied every known principle of space warfare. Massive Concordance battleships, each a testament to centuries of military engineering, found themselves outmaneuvered by vessels that seemed to think and breathe with an impossible intelligence. The human ships moved like a living organism, each vessel not just a weapon, but a node in a vast, dynamically adjusting neural network. Commander Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance, her hands hovering above holographic interfaces that pulsed with potential energy. This was more than a battle. This was a comprehensive demonstration of humanity's technological revolution. The first wave of Concordance attack formations approached with the precision of a mathematical equation. Thousands of ships, each programmed with centuries of battle algorithms, expected to overwhelm through sheer numerical superiority. They had no concept of the technological nightmare awaiting them. Human ships began their response, but this was not traditional fleet combat. Each vessel was simultaneously a weapon, a sensor array, and a dynamic problem-solving platform. When one ship detected a potential threat, the entire fleet instantaneously adjusted. Weapon frequencies shifted, shield harmonics realigned, positioning modified with quantum-level precision. Adapted formation protocol engaged, Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported, her voice calm despite the cosmic chaos surrounding them. Enemy tactical algorithms are being systematically neutralized. Concordance weapon systems, which had remained unmatched for generations, found themselves completely ineffective. Every attack was anticipated, analyzed, and countered before it could fully materialize. The human fleet didn't just defend. It transformed each incoming threat into valuable tactical information. Admiral Zornak's communication systems erupted with increasingly desperate reports. Entire squadron commanders reported total systems failure, not through direct destruction, but through a comprehensive technological neutralization that seemed to defy the fundamental laws of warfare. The human ships were creating a living, breathing tactical network. Each vessel shared information at speeds that made traditional communication look prehistoric. Quantum entanglement communication allowed instantaneous data transfer, creating a fleet that thought and moved as a single hyper-intelligent organism. Weapon systems on the U.S. Defiance demonstrated capabilities that would be studied by military strategists for generations. adaptive energy weapons that could modify their frequency and impact potential in microseconds, shield systems that didn't just block attacks but actively transformed incoming energy into defensive and offensive potential. Enemy fleet cohesion is breaking, Lisa Chen observed, her tactical display showing the Concordance formations dissolving like sugar in water. They're unable to adapt to our dynamic combat strategy. The psychological impact was as significant as the technological demonstration. These were not just ships being defeated. An entire galactic military doctrine was being systematically dismantled. Concordance ships began to retreat, but retreat itself became impossible. The human fleet anticipated every potential escape vector. Navigation systems were subtly manipulated. Communication channels were carefully controlled. The entire engagement was a precise, surgical demonstration of technological superiority. No lives were lost. No unnecessary destruction occurred. This was a clinical demonstration of capabilities that would reshape galactic understanding of warfare, technology, and potential. Lieutenant Sarah Chen's final report was a masterpiece of understatement. Battle engagement complete. Tactical objectives achieved with maximum efficiency. Admiral Zornak's final transmission captured the profound shock of the moment. This is impossible. His translation systems rendered a mixture of terror and pure, unadulterated disbelief. As the battle concluded, the U.S. Defiance and its accompanying fleet maintained a perfect, almost beautiful formation. They were not conquerors. They were a living demonstration of humanity's potential. The Galactic Concordance had sought to contain humanity. Instead, they had awakened a technological force that would fundamentally reshape galactic civilization. Commander Lisa Chen allowed herself the smallest of smiles. The real conversation was just beginning. The Battle of Epsilon Eridani would be remembered as the moment everything changed. Humanity was no longer an emerging civilization. They were a force that would reshape the very understanding of technological potential. The Galactic Concordance Council Chamber was no longer a place of rigid tradition, but a crucible of transformation. Jessica Williams stood at the center, her presence a testament to humanity's unprecedented journey from dismissal to galactic prominence. The holographic displays surrounding her told a story of comprehensive change. Not of conquest, but of fundamental reimagining. Where other civilizations saw limitations, humanity saw opportunities. The battle demonstrations, the technological breakthroughs, the adaptive capabilities, they were not acts of aggression, but invitations to a new way of understanding existence. "We are not here to replace," Jessica began, her voice carrying through translation systems that struggled to capture the nuanced complexity of her message. "We are here to collaborate, to demonstrate that progress is not about dominance, but about collective potential." The assembled delegates represented civilizations that had existed for millennia. Crystal-based life forms, gaseous entities, silicon-based intelligences, beings that had long believed themselves to be the pinnacle of evolutionary potential. Now they listened with a mixture of fear, respect, and barely contained curiosity. High Counselor Zarx, whose crystalline form had once pulsed with condescension, now vibrated with a more complex emotional resonance. The human demonstration had not just challenged their technological understanding. It had fundamentally questioned their entire philosophical approach to civilization development. Jessica's presentation was not a demand, but a comprehensive proposal. Collaborative research networks that would allow for unprecedented knowledge exchange. Adaptive technological platforms that could bridge the developmental gaps between different species. Medical technologies that could potentially extend life and reduce suffering across multiple biological systems. The economic implications were staggering. Human adaptive technologies could revolutionize everything from resource extraction to interstellar communication. Trading systems that had remained static for centuries would be transformed. Entire economic paradigms would be reimagined. "We are offering a partnership," Jessica continued, "not of submission, but of mutual growth. Our technological approach is not about superiority, but about continuous adaptation." Holographic displays showed examples of human innovation. medical technologies that could help treat genetic disorders across multiple species, communication systems that could bridge linguistic and biological barriers, ecological restoration techniques that could help revive dying planetary ecosystems. The Voxanar representative, a being of complex electromagnetic pulses, projected its analysis, their translation systems rendering a mixture of scientific curiosity and profound respect. Humanity represents a fundamental shift in our understanding of technological potential. Commander Lisa Chen stood nearby, a living embodiment of the military capabilities that had so dramatically reshaped galactic understanding. The Battle of Epsilon Eridani was not just a military engagement, it was a comprehensive demonstration of a new approach to problem-solving. Dr. Robert Foster, who had been instrumental in developing the adaptive neural networks, presented a series of collaborative research proposals. These were not simply technological exchanges, but invitations to fundamentally rethink the nature of scientific exploration. The proposal was radical in its simplicity. Instead of a hierarchical system where established civilizations dictated terms, humanity proposed a dynamic, adaptive network of technological and cultural exchange. No single civilization would dominate. Instead, each would contribute its unique perspective to a larger, more complex understanding. Economic models were reimagined. Resource distribution systems were transformed. Communication technologies that could bridge seemingly insurmountable biological and technological barriers were demonstrated. "We are not asking for acceptance," Jessica said, her final statement cutting through millennia of established galactic political structures. "We are offering evolution." The silence that followed was not a silence of defeat, but of profound potential. The Galactic Concordance was about to be transformed from a rigid political structure into a dynamic, adaptive network of potential. As the negotiations continued, one thing became abundantly clear. Humanity had not just entered the galactic stage. They had fundamentally rewritten the rules of engagement. The galaxy would never be the same. And this was just the beginning.